You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Welcome back. Episode number
27.
27. We've done this 27 times.
27.
You're on the clock and you're passing time with us. A Detroit Lions podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
Hey, we got a fun episode. These podcasts are a lot better after games like Monday night.
Let's go. I mean, I agree. I mean, if you win a game like they did against Tampa, then I'm feeling good. You lose a game like you did against the Chiefs, I'm not feeling nearly as good. So.
Yeah, so we're calling last game the Jahmyr Gibbs game.
He had a show out kind of game. He had is he the best running back in the league kind of game?
Where were you when you were watching the Jahmyr Gibbs game?
You know, it's going to be looking back from years past, and you talk to your son like, hey, remember when we watched the Jahmyr Gibbs game?
Yeah, I let my 7.5-year-old stay up the whole game, and he's like, hey, Dad, I got a St. Brown jersey, I got a Hutchinson jersey, but I want a Gibbs jersey.
He wants the big 0.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, glad we waited till this year after the number change. So, Lions beat the Bucs 24-9. It was a big showing after a loss to KC.
Well, but the Lions don't lose back-to-back games. So
you told the audience.
We told the audience.
You told them. Heading into a bye week, Brian.
And we got a lot of recovery to do, some rehab to do, and some rest and relaxation. But they're going to come out of it healthier, more deep, and ready to go.
Yeah, and the Lions did it the old school way, the way that travels, right? It was defense and a run game.
And the defense showed out. I mean, this is a depleted secondary kind of defense, but yet they showed out.
The Legion of Whom.
I love that. I love that.
Dub. Yeah, absolutely great. So we got the trade deadline around the corner.
Are the Lions going to make moves, or are they going to stay in pat? What are we doing here?
We're going to talk about that,
All
Brian.
right.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to do an in-depth preview or review of last week and talk a little bit about the bye week. Also, I haven't gotten a lot of thank you notes from our listeners on the 2 for 2 free winners.
The free winners that we're handing out, that you're handing out
on both sides of the ledger. I've been handing them out. I don't have anything right now, but stay tuned. If I can get techie enough to videotape myself and send it to Brian, he might throw it on the interwebs later this week. So a reason to check back in here. So I'm going to leave this off here with a quick little analogy.
Right.
Okay.
Why wouldn't we, right?
I mean, it's a bye week, right? So let's just kind of talk about that. Also, before we do, Brian, you're looking pretty fly.
You know what? You're looking sharp too.
Yeah, this is the new uniform for the crew tonight, man. We got our kind of old school logo starter jackets. We thought it'd be kind of fly to rock them out for y'all tonight. So, here's what I want to talk about: the Lions' offense. Okay, they're kind of like You don't seem like a guy that's got like a shoe closet. You seem like the guy that like has one pair of shoes and you wear them out. But me, I got a shoe closet. Okay? All right. So I got lots of pairs of shoes, right? Like I got the good going out shoes, right? I got the lawn mowing shoes that used to be the nice tennis shoes, and they turned into lawn mowing shoes. You know what I'm talking about?
I got a pair of lawn mowing shoes.
Okay, but you also wear those out, right?
I also wear those out.
So I got the work shoes, right? You got the running shoes, and Brian's been putting in the miles. Tell them about your miles you've been putting.
We're putting in the miles. Okay. We're putting in the miles.
We did a dad bod shame thing, and we got it's 30 miles this month, 40 miles next month. Also, a couple friends of the pod in the audience.
You know who you are
rocking the miles as well. So you got your work boots, right? You got your shit kickers, your mudders, all that. You got your work boots out there.
Yep.
You got your going to the club shoes that kind of make the girls look at you twice. Whatever, the guys or your wife, she doesn't look at you anymore, but if she did, she look at you.
I don't have those shoes.
So I think the Lions offense is a lot like a good shoe closet, right? You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? He is your reliable pair of shoes. He's your comfortable pair. You know right where you're going to place him. You know they go with about 80% of your outfits. They're your go-to, comfortable, go with anything pair.
Okay.
Right? So you know where he's going to be. It's just easy to throw those shoes on. It's easy to throw the ball to Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
You got Sam Laporta. That's your lawn mowing shoes, man. They're not flashy. You can wear them out in the mud, but they'll get the job done. You don't wear them. You don't overwear them. You know, like you're not mowing your lawn. I mean, unless you're crazy, but like you're not mowing your lawn much more than like a day of the week, right? So but you're bringing them out. You got your Jahmyr Gibbs shoes. Those are your dress shoes. Those are they're sleek, sharp. They're a little bit fancy, right? Yeah. And they get everybody to draw their eyeballs to them, right? Like even my 7-year-old's like, hey, whoa, what is going on with
those
Gibbs,
are some
man?
Fancy shoes.
You know, I mean, through the ground, through the air, those are some fancy shoes, man. And when you get people looking at you after one time, you want to put those shoes on. You want to put those shoes on. Because those are fancy. That's what the Lions did. They brought their fancy shoes out, and they wore the soles off those shoes.
They wore those shoes.
You got Dave Montgomery. That's your work boots, okay? You put your work boots, your steel toe boots on, and you get the job done, right?
Hey, we need to put those boots on, I think, a little bit
more. They're kind of ugly. They're not flashy. But, man, they just work.
They grind. They get after it.
And then you got your JMO shoes, right? Those are your running shoes, Brian. This is why we're dad bod shaming ourselves, because every once in a while your running shoes, they collect a little dust.
And so we need to get out and go for a run a little bit more often.
You're right. So, you know, maybe today's the day, or maybe next week's the week to get those running shoes out for the Detroit Lions. And that's Jameson Williams. The point here is they got a closet full of weapons, right?
Yes.
And they don't have to overwear a pair of shoes all the time. They're probably going to put their favorite ones on, the Amon-Ra's, pretty much every week consistently, right?
Yep.
But beyond that, if they want to put their steel toe boots on, if they want to cut the grass and put their lawn mowing shoes on, if they want to put their running shoes on, they have options.
They got options. And I agree with you. I think that, you know, the Lions are able to put on a pair of shoes that best fits them for that day, and you know the job to be done. You know, it just so happens that we were dancing against Tampa Bay, and we had those fancy shoes out, right? So Jahmyr Gibbs was the shoes that we fit best, and he was rocking. So
you ever been to a wedding where you get you're like, hey, I'm not going to dance, and all of a sudden you find yourself on the dance floor and you're sweating through your shirt? And,
I think that was your wedding.
They were out on the dance floor and they were sweating through that shirt, and he was just doing work.
He was doing work. I mean, we found ways to grind him out, and he found the ability to take it to the house several times. I mean, this guy was he was doing work. It was nice to see Jahmyr Gibbs break off 71-yard runs and get 82 yards and receiving on 3 passes and just look good.
Yeah. So the Lions will lace their running shoes up, their JMO shoes. And once they do, that it's just going to give a whole new element where teams got a really, really game plan for that. So be on the lookout for that. JMO is going to get laced up. Those running shoes are coming out, right? So we got a bye week coming up. Shifts the focus on what the Lions need to do coming off the bye. What are a couple of things that you're thinking about here with Detroit Lions on health, and a couple of things they need to focus on during the bye week?
Well, we're going into the bye, I believe, the perfect time. You know, the best part about the Week 8 bye is it's the latest bye we've had in a while, and it's the latest bye in the NFC North. So all of the other 3 teams in the NFC North have already had their bye, and they're going to have to deal with the grind that is a long season past Week 5. And here we are 3 weeks later trying to get healthy, and I feel like we have guys that are going to start to come back. You're going to start to see your Malcolm Rodriguez's, who we haven't talked about, come back. And you're going to start to see your Davenports start to get healthy. The DJ Reeds are going to come out and find those ways.
Yeah.
TAs can come back. You know, we're going to find Hassanines and the Josh Pascals, who we don't talk about nearly enough, come back. And we're going to have some problems to figure out who's going to be able to be on this 53 and who's going to miss the boat. So, yeah. You know, we're not going to be able to keep everybody, and we have a deep enough roster that, you know, people are going to start cherry picking us when this kind of stuff happens to them later in the season.
So that was kind of Coach Shepard's message, right? Like we heard all about it. It's like, hey, like we need you for this game. Also, you need you for this game because there's a lot of teams out there watching, and this roster only fits so many guys. So this is for your next year, your next 10 years in the league. Go out there, represent the Legion of Whom, and do your thing out there. So obviously the secondary is pretty banged up, but getting healthier. The defensive line, we welcomed somebody back this week, and they showed why we missed them.
Oh man, Ali McNeil made his presence felt.
You saw him early and often on the tape.
Early and often. I mean, he that first play of the defense, and he's pushing that offensive guard back in the lap of Baker Mayfield, and from then forward, Baker did not feel comfortable.
Yeah. They got him off. I mean, I don't know what the stats were exactly, but downfield passing for the Buccaneers was pretty atrocious, though they were missing some key players.
Yeah, and they were missing some key players. I mean, Chris Godwin was out. Mike Evans went out early. And, Bucky Irving was not, a piece that they could rely on in the running game. But Baker seemed in weeks past find ways, even without those guys, to make it work and to find ways to win, whether it was because of his legs or his grit. But it just seemed like against the Lions, we had the answer.
Yeah. Talk about pre-bye week. The offensive line is really starting to kind of come into their own.
You look at Tate, and you're finding ways that he is gelling with the guy next to him, Penei Sewell. Penei is one of the best in the league at his position, and being able to pair him up with a mauler like Tate Ratledge, it's awesome to see those duo blocks and him opening major lanes for Jahmyr Gibbs and hopefully David Montgomery moving forward. But Graham Glasgow playing better than I would have expected, through the first 7 weeks, and even Mahogany finding good success and definitely in the run game. We got to continue to grow in those areas, whether it's pass blocking or run blocking, but these guys are finding ways to open lanes and to have success on the ground and in the air.
Mahogany's been solid, and in the offensive line, when you spend a lot of money on your bookends, you need a couple guys that are on their rookie deal to just go out there and be solid. And Mahogany is solid, and he will earn a second contract. And he might be, the Lions have had a couple of these guys. He might be a guy that the Lions don't re-sign, but he plays out his rookie deal and does really well with the Detroit Lions.
Or he might be a guy that we look to and say, hey, he is one of us. He's a gritty, nasty dirtbag that we want a part of our team, and we're going to find ways to extend him that might be at least, might be smart for us to do so. Or he's going to get paid somewhere else. So.
How many times can we say that, though? Like, hey,
I agree.
We have so many guys that are like, hey, you're kind of one of us. Can you take a little bit of a deal? Can we structure this contract into a team-friendly fashion? And, at a certain point,
Right, but it makes sense too, right? Because the Lions have built something, and we've talked about the Dan Campbell culture, whether it's in this podcast or past podcasts, and players want to be a part of that, whether it's a Christian Mahogany or it's a DJ Reed. We've established something here in Detroit where other players want to be there, and it might not necessarily be for a discount, but it's going to be somewhere in the realm of, yes, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah. Brian, this is not a philosophical question, but do you believe in windows?
I guess I do into some regard, but some windows are wider than others. You have in analogy terms, you have your picture windows. Yeah. You have your sliding glass doors.
I'm so proud of you. Look at this guy.
Thank you. And then you have your little basement windows, Yeah. And the reality is the Lions are not looking through a basement window right now. Okay. They're looking through a big old, sliding glass door that can be pushed wide open and possibly stay there for a long time.
Oh, you're speaking to me now, baby. You're speaking to me. I love it. So I do believe that the Lions have I believe in windows. We talk about the Lions. We talk about the Tigers every once in a while and their window was not quite there yet, and they have an awkward alignment with Scooble and his contract, and like where all their young guys are coming into play. But the Lions window is now, and it's probably like 3, 4, 5 years out into the future, and it's a pretty long window, and that's why you can't really sell out at trade deadline because that window remains open.
Right, and that's what I'm looking at too. And if we want to get into the trade window, the trade deadline, and what the Lions may or may not do, I think this past week tells you a lot. I think this past week saved the Lions quite a bit of cap space and assets because they can now see, hey, we got guys like Nick Whiteside who
look good,
is going to give us some depth.
Yeah,
right. We don't need to panic and go out and trade assets in order to get another guy to fill a spot for DJ Reed or TA or Nick Whiteside in order to replace them for now. Other guys, Hallett and Mullet, and these guys showed out and played well. And now I feel pretty confident that regardless of the guy that is put into that place, we're going to be successful. I mean, this is the epitome of the Legion of Whom now, right?
I can't get enough of that. The Legion of Whom, baby. I absolutely love it. So let's just kind of play the what if game. All right?
Okay.
Because the viewers want to play the what if game. So what if the Lions did want to make a couple trades at the deadline? What might they be seeking out, and what might fit their current roster structure? Mind you, we have guys that are unsigned that need to be signed. We have some big contracts we got to dole out here coming up. So
I mean, if you're burning the bridges, right? If you're burning the ships and you're going all in, and what's going to separate you from the next guy? I mean, obviously the continued debate is, do we need another edge opposite of Hutch?
Yeah.
And you look at a guy like Phillips from Miami, and is he the right fit in his current structure, which is a rookie deal in the last year of his rookie deal, and would he fit? Maybe. I think he would be awesome, but is he going to give you that much more than a Al-Qadim Muhammad? Is he going to give you more than, hopefully in the next couple weeks, a Marcus Davenport?
Yeah.
And those are the questions that you have to answer. And I don't know if he gives you that much more than those guys, or if we're just, going to trade a third or fourth round that we could possibly transition into a rookie deal.
So Jalen Phillips kind of reminds me a little bit of Davenport. His upside is immense, right? Like when he's healthy and he's playing, he's on the back end of his rookie deal. He's a difference maker, but he's on the field, off the field kind of guy, just like Davenport has been. And I think a trade like that requires a mid-round pick. It's been noted that the Lions don't have any third rounders because we exhausted that talk, but could the Lions send a fourth rounder? Could they send a fifth rounder? Could they send a package to pull a guy like that over and solidify the edge?
And I mean, if you could bring him in, I mean, I'd be the first one to tell you I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to jump on this pod and say, hey, let's go. We're getting Phillips. But at the same time, if we didn't get a guy like that, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be upset. And with the guys that we're going to war with right now, you look at what they're capable of. You look at the DVOA and what we're doing there. We're a top-notch defense right now.
Yeah. So let's talk about guys that they're not going to trade for. And we exhausted the offseason on Trey Hendrickson. They're not going to trade.
Not going to trade for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. The Bengals don't make a lot of trades off their roster. They'll throw a draft pick. They'll get a quarterback to kind of scab over until Burrow gets healthy. But that's a guy that they're not going to trade. Max Crosby's not going anywhere. Also, if you sign Max Crosby, you're basically saying goodbye to Aiden Hutchinson, because you can't have the two highest paid defensive ends in the NFL or two of the top 5 highest paid defensive ends in the NFL on the same team. You don't have the cap space.
And the Lions are not going to say goodbye to Aiden Hutchinson if if his extension doesn't come out this week, it may even come out next week. And if it doesn't, it will be done soon.
Yeah. They're not trading J-Mo away. They just signed him. They're not soured on him. He's happy. He's not. I know, like he posted. I don't know what that tweet.
Those
means.
cryptic, Instagram, posts and what have you. But the guy's not getting enough targets. I agree, but he is still doing his job. His first priority is the win. He wants this team to be successful, and he's willing to do his part. You're never going to see him in an interview be disgruntled. He may post a stupid tweet, but for all I know, it's because his plane was delayed on the way to Tahiti.
And it's not even that stupid, really. Yeah, it's just like, it was one of those games. They targeted him a few times. He had a catch taken off the board. It is what it is. I mean, there's going to be games where he's going to get more targets. He might get majority of the targets.
And this off season, or I'm sorry, not this off season, this bye week is going to do them some good. They're going to be able to self-scout. John Morton is going to be able to go through the tape and say, hey, what has worked for us? How can we get some of our bigger weapons the ball in space? And how can we get them more successful? I wouldn't be surprised against the Vikings if we see some crosser routes with J-Mo and to see him have a big game.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Do the Lions potentially, as guys are getting healthy in the defensive backfield, do they potentially have a few pieces they can move their youth pieces to maybe acquire a more veteran, kind of like a steady playoff run kind of guy?
And that would be, I guess that would be unlike what we've seen thus far with the Lions, right? Usually the Lions are willing to trade some draft capital, but they're not willing to trade their guys. And so I'd be very surprised if you saw some of those youth pieces to be traded away to another team for a rental or for a veteran or for another piece that they feel like might bring them closer. Because I do feel like they trust, their process. I feel like they trust their coaches, and they love who's in the room.
So we're kind of talking ourselves through this a little bit as we go. This is an unscripted, impromptu kind of talk. But what I think we're coming up with consensus wise is it would be pretty shocking if the Lions made out a big splash move, right?
I don't see it. I don't see the Lions making a big splash move. I see maybe a depth piece here or a depth piece there. But I would be very surprised if the Lions went to the trade deadline and made a big move, even a Zadarius Smith type move. So.
Yeah. So something that you could see is, we were all upset. Well, I hate to do two Tigers analogies, but we were all pretty upset with the Detroit Tigers moves right before the trade deadline. Not to give you PTSD over that, but they went out and they got guys that were basically like salary dumps or former players that were fond of the organization or fond of AJ Hinch. And I could see that where a guy played for Dan Campbell and was like, hey, I don't have a path here. We're not going to win. I'm on a 1-year deal. Trade me over there for, a bag of footballs and let me work my way onto the team.
Absolutely. And Dan Campbell has continued to say that his practice squad is not the practice squad, it's the veteran squad. And he's willing to fill that with pieces that will be depth and find their way onto the roster at some point in the season. And I think he'd be willing to make those types of moves. But again, like we said, the splash moves are probably off the table.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the recap game here. So when we talk about numbers, right? So Lions are 5-2. If you would have told us in the offseason looking at the schedule, hey, Brian, here's 5-2 going into your bye week, you would have said
super happy. I mean, I'd be right there. I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of what we predicted. If you went back and look at some of those past pods and our prediction pod that we made,
so we go into the bye week by Brian's count, 5-2, by my count, 4-3. Some of you, including probably us, will be like, all right, we're gonna be in a fight. You're gonna look around. We might not be the top team in the North, but that is a tough start to the schedule.
Yeah.
Get into a bye week. Hopefully, bumps and bruises, getting a little healthier, and it doesn't get that much easier after that.
I was a 12-5 overall record kind of folk, and I think I'm sticking to that even moving forward. So
okay, all right,
yep.
So Lions are averaging 360 on offense, yards per game, and about 31 points a game. That's solid.
And I don't even think they've hit their stride yet. I think that they've, like, even, in this last game against Tampa, you look at that and say, hey, why not scoring more than 24 points? What happened? Where are the hiccups? Where are the drawbacks? And I say, Tampa's a good defense. We're looking. Todd Bowles is a smart dude, and I think that he has found ways to give the Lions fits year in and year out. And there's developed this rivalry between the two teams, and it seems to make Jared Goff question, where am I going to get the ball to? I want to be safe with it. What's the best decision? How can I get this out quick? I don't want pressure in my lap, and so on. And Todd Bowles seems to really find the buttons to push, and Jared Goff doesn't necessarily have the answer yet.
I mean, he draws up the corner blitz and the safety blitz better than anybody in the NFL. And I think Goff fears that a little bit. He understands it, and they're patient with it. And when they deploy it, it hits him.
And it does hit him, and he's made some poor decisions, in that game. You saw the one fumble that got to him. He did not have a great adjustment to blitz pickup there. His eyes don't seem to be picking all of the pieces up along the way. And then the interception there as well. You consider, like, they're just finding ways to drop guys into the path that Jared Goff really wants to throw to. And Jared Goff doesn't necessarily have the answers yet. Now, in saying that, we still were successful, right? We still were able to score 24 points, which I think is really an accomplishment against a defense like that.
Good defense. So macroly, the Lions are averaging 31 points a game, 360 yards a game. Defensively, under 200 yards per game, and they're only allowing 21.5 points a game. That's a pretty significant spread.
Oh my gosh.
Between points scored and points given up on average.
Again, if you look back at past pods, some of our hot takes that we came up with were maybe the Detroit defense may outshine some of the Detroit offense. And we're starting to see some of those pieces. Kelvin Shepherd is getting his accolades. He's getting his spotlight. He's getting some of those flowers, the praise. And, he deserves it. This was a great week to come off of. And he's finding this hybrid spy that he didn't necessarily love initially, but is finding some fondness too, and it's working out. Derek Barnes is playing great football, and he's playing this hybrid role of spy, pass rush, linebacker, and there's only a couple people I think in this whole league that can play it, and he's one of them.
Well, it's interesting you say that. You say it back to back, where you talk about Kelvin Shepherd and then Derek Barnes, and let me talk about that a little bit. One, going into the year, there was a lot of pundits. The Lions were down on the list of the teams that were media darlings going into this year. It was kind of like, hey, we're replacing both coordinators. We're doomed. They forgot that the head man remains the same and the roster actually looks better. Shepard was taking a lot of heat. Like, hey, this guy is a position coach, got no experience. He's pretty young. He was just a player just a couple years ago. Thrust into the position and is thriving. And you hear Campbell talk about him when he was a player, and he's like, this guy was a coach. We knew he was a coach long before he retired from playing football. And then you talk about Derek Barnes, and it just brings you back to a quote that Kelvin Shepherd told Dan Campbell. And you remember that quote?
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
I mean, he's saying that this is one of the non-negotiable guys that I need to have on my roster.
That was a player I had to have. I did. And everybody said, well, the stats are just average. I told him that's a player I have to have. I have to have. Like, that is literally my little brother, on and off the field. I know he looks up to me, and that means a lot to me. But outside of that, I believe this kid can play 4 or 5 spots on the football field and do it at a high level. He can play all 3 stack backer spots. He can play defensive end. So when you're able to have a player like that, you see him out in the apex in 11 personnel, which is really a nickel spot. So when you have a player like that, it allows you that ability to present the same looks pre-snap and then post-snap be able to play a different variety of coverages, different variety of pressure packages, and things like that.
It was non-negotiable. It was nope. This is the one of the guys that I have in order to build this defense around.
Yeah. So, and hand and glove, right? He's deploying them in a situation that you talked about that is playing kind of all three levels of Kelvin Shepherd's defense.
And I'm telling you, there's not many guys in the NFL that can do this. And Derek Barnes, we have, as Lions fans, we have one of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's like we're playing chess out there and we got like three queens, right? It's hard to play against you got a queen at defensive end with Aiden Hutchinson. You got like Derek Barnes, or you name Jack Campbell, linebacker, and then you got two safeties out there with pretty good cornerbacks when healthy. It's rich people problems.
It's rich people. We continue to say this, and you can see it. It's rich people problems. And we played without two of our queens. As chess players go, in this last game, and still played out. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about kind of how the players graded out after last game? So there was a couple surprising notes there on a couple guys that graded out that were like a little bit eye-popping.
Yeah. You got guys like Tyrus Wheat who had sacks in this game, as well as graded out 94.7 PFF, and he looked good. I mean, he looked good. Nick Whiteside, who wasn't even necessarily considered into the game until you saw Rocky Sin go out. I mean, he still got a ton of snaps, and you go through the tape, he's making play after play after play after play.
I thought he just played special teams, Brian.
Dude, this guy is finding a way to get on the field, and he's going to make some big decisions moving forward, because the guy plays really, really well. And you listen to Amik Robertson after the game, and he's like, I went to these guys, I said, this is their opportunity. I'm willing to play for you, you're willing to play for us, we're playing for each other. Go out there and do your thing. And Nick Whiteside did.
Yeah, and Jack Campbell does what Jack Campbell now does, right? Like, it's plain vanilla, just hard-nosed.
Dude, Jack Campbell is, he's able to go out in space. He's wearing the green dot. He's making tackle after tackle. The dude is solid.
Yeah.
He's playing at a all-pro level right now.
I mean, just, again, like a controversial pick at the time, but like,
he was a first-round inside linebacker. Who picks a first-round inside linebacker other than the Detroit Lions? But we're making other people eat crow right now. So
yeah, and we don't have to worry about a PFF grade for Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, that he PFF is weird, right? Like, sometimes you're looking like, oh, what was that grade? And
right.
His wasn't 1,186 like it should have been, but on the offensive side, who graded out well and who graded out a little bit more poorly?
Well, you look at also Penei Sewell, who was inside and out, being able to make amazing blocks, get down the field. You saw that pull, out in front of a Jahmyr Gibbs who's running 22 miles an hour, and Penei Sewell is right up there in front of him. I wish he would have made that block, because that would have just like put the icing on the cake. But he made the next block in order to score. Jahmyr Gibbs on the touchdown run just after. But
I think he was like, his momentum was going a little faster than because he ended up like in front of the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
he was cruising, and you saw the DB dip underneath, and like Penny's like, okay, I can't go that low right now. I'm going too fast.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So,
but Penei Sewell looked good. Jahmyr Gibbs looked good. Even Taylor Decker, had a high PFF grade. So we had our offensive line. We're cruising a little bit. We're starting to find some things. Did they look perfect all the way along the way? No. But Tampa Bay was a good defense, a good test. Vita Vea was. Listen, that guy's a stud.
He's a disruptor.
Right. He is a disruptor, and you're pairing up Vita Vea against a rookie offensive guard, and you're going to see some mismatches there.
They have some veterans at all three levels as well. You got Vita Vea on the line. You got a perennial All-Pro at linebacker, and then you got Antonio Whitfield at
Yep.
In the secondary. They have like, and they got Todd Bowles coaching it, so like it's a tough one. And obviously Jared Goff kind of had a little bit of a Jared Goff bad game, right? Not a bad game, but not a great game. And the Lions went out there and they adjusted and they won with defense and a solid running game. So that's what you need to do going into that game.
Absolutely. And when you have a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs being able to explode like he did, 136 yards, rushing and another 82 yards receiving, the dude had a game.
Yeah. So Amon-Ra was one of the few receivers that did have, padded the stat book like he typically does. Brian, what was I know that Amon-Ra felt pretty tough about the Kansas City game, right? Like the big fourth down, and he's calling it a drop. I mean, it's a tough catch to make still.
And you listen to some of the explanations of that. Amon-Ra apparently texted Jared Goff, "Hey, I'm sorry, I should have made that catch. That's on me. I apologize." Like, this is a team that is being accountable for their own actions. But Jared Goff responds with, "No, man, I could have put that in a better spot for you." Like, nobody's putting any blame on anybody else. They're only taking the accountability for themselves. And what does Amon-Ra do? He goes out there and does what Amon-Ra does and has 6 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown.
6 or 7 receptions?
Six, 7.
So all the DBs are rocking the 32. After a controversial NFL news piece, y'all saw it. Brian reported on it.
If you saw a little bit of a short, I threw that out the other day. Louis Riddick and NFL Films threw out some shade to Brian Branch, and the Detroit Lions and fans did not take lightly to that. So
I feel like that might cost Riddick an early opportunity at like a GM job or something. I mean, that he's angling for that, but if you're throwing out hit pieces, players don't want to play for that.
No, man, you're attaching your name to something like that. Like that, and that's what it is. Was it a mistake? Probably. Should he have known better? Absolutely. But he's also a guy that threw his name in the mix of the Detroit Lions before Brad Holmes got that spot. And, do you think that the Detroit Lions are going to forget that you're throwing shade at one of our players? I don't think so.
Yeah. You want to do a little Bill's bullet points, do a little billing for a second, and talk a little bit.
Let's talk a little bit about billing.
So every once in a while, Brian can catch. He can catch Bill in between the hallways, and this week, Bill said, "Whoa, it's a bye week." I thought I was off, but we've been running our transcripts through artificial intelligence for the past 26 weeks. And Brian, do you want to tell us what? Right. And we're reading this for the first time. What artificial intelligence is telling us what Bill bullet points are.
So to Bill's credit, this is not necessarily Bill's bullet points. This is what AI believes Bill's bullet points should be.
It's pretty spot on, man. I'm like, all right, like I see it. So
they got back to what works: running the ball, controlling tempo. Gibbs' workload and efficiency were huge. Which is true. Like, huge. The only discrepancy I would say there is Bill is a Montgomery guy. And Monty didn't have a great game.
Yeah.
So maybe, Bill would, in his billing-like experience, would have said, Gibbs got back to what they do best, but Monty did not.
Well, Bill seems like a guy that doesn't have a fancy pair of shoes, and he's got like a few too many of like the shit kickers. So I don't know, Bill.
He's definitely got his pair of work boots, and he's definitely got his lawn mowing shoes. He's good. Yeah.
All right. So next week at the pod, Brian, can you snap me a shot of Bill's shoes in the hallway?
All right. He also talks about, or AI talks about, what's the identity of this team? If the run is clicking and the defense is playing stingy, they can be a top 10 offense and a top 12 defense?
Oh.
All
right.
Okay.
That's a little too optimistic for Bill, artificial intelligence. But yeah, I feel your point.
All right. They still had too many variables in Kansas City's loss, penalties, secondary, breakdowns, inconsistencies, pass rush, but they were able to reconcile most of those in the Tampa Bay game.
That's billing.
That's billing.
That's billing, baby. So,
screen game. So we are able to apply at least the kickouts, the dump offs, the ability to get Gibbs in space. Some of the things that Bill was asking for in the Tampa Bay game, and trick plays were mostly back burner this week. The focus on was the basics.
Yeah.
That's good.
As we head into the bye week, Bill AI says, reset, avoid distractions, stay healthy, depth matters now more than ever. And I think the Lions are building the depth as guys come off. In 2 weeks, you're going to see a couple new names added to the roster.
Yep.
Off the injury list, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions manage that roster and potentially if they lose guys off the practice squad.
Listen, we're going to lose guys that you are thinking, hey, why are we losing that guy? And it's going to be because guys like Malcolm Rodriguez are coming back, because guys like Davenport are coming back, because guys Josh Pascal are going to come back. And we're going to start to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And we're going to lose some guys that, have contributed this far.
Yeah. So we'll tease this one out. Rob's one pride pick. So
okay.
I'm 2 for 2. Okay. I'm not willing to go on the mic tonight, though. I have to see how things break down. So what I want you to do is, if we can get 2 comments in here to get a couple picks for next week, just 2. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. 2 comments, and then we can get to 150 followers. I think we're at 149 on YouTube. Then I will do a special on Saturday. I might be at a hockey rink or something like that, watching one of my kids, but I'll have my resources, I'll have my study ready, and I'll be ready to make you some money. Around the NFL, really a couple things. Obviously we're heading in the trade deadline. We could do a pop-up podcast if a big trade hits.
If something hits, and we need to do an emergency pod, we'll get on here and we'll do our best. So
Trey Hendrickson probably won't get moved, but you got guys like Chris Olave, Mark Andrews. Baltimore might reset a little bit. Jacoby Myers, a guy that could make a big impact. I've been hearing a lot of Jacoby Myers, like Pittsburgh, because they don't have a number 2. Would make a lot of sense. Pro Bowl gets a big major overhaul for 2026. Y'all still watching the Pro Bowl? I honestly, I'm a football junkie, and it's just I'm not going to wrap my day around that.
No, I'm not missing anything exciting in order to see the Pro Bowl, but it is football, and it's fun to see your guys there, and as part of that. So, that's what I'm tuning in to see. My kids like to see Amon-Ra do flips in order to catch the ball and things like that. Or Penei Sewell pushing some sled down the road, but again,
what is the world coming to? Kids would rather watch people on YouTube unwrapping Christmas gifts and seeing them do backflips rather than playing. Dude, we're doomed, man.
Listen, my kids are also tuned in and watching each and every game. So
okay, all right. Well, there's hope. All right, there's hope. So, last segment, let's just kick it around the North a little bit. Talk about the best division in football. So you got the Packers. Week 8, they're playing at Pittsburgh Steelers. Record of 4-1-1.
Yeah, and it's the comeback game of Aaron Rodgers to Green Bay, or I guess it's in Pittsburgh, but versus Green Bay. So what's going to happen there? Is the old man going to get the best of the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, the Packers ironically traded away a defensive tackle, and their biggest need at the trade deadline is a
defensive tackle.
Yeah, so maybe they go get Kenny back, right? So. Vikings, they're playing right now, right over your shoulder, 34-10, getting beat up a little bit. And J.J. McCarthy is not playing.
He's not.
It seems like they're letting him take his time on doing some rehabbing. And we'll probably see J.J. against the Lions next week.
And I would not be surprised if you start to see the Vikings accept what's going on and give JJ reps that he is going to need in order to progress as a quarterback, to so they can see what they have and determine is JJ going to be the future of the Minnesota Vikings, or is it going to be something they're going to need to look into to draft time?
Yeah. So the Bears are arguably one of the hotter teams in the NFL after getting their pants pulled down by the Detroit Lions.
Sure, and I will eat my words when the Bears, make the playoffs and are successful as the season goes on. But we're also talking about the Bears, beating teams like the Saints and those bottom feeders,
the Raiders
of the NFL. And are they going to be able to produce the same against guys like the Baltimore Ravens, who may or may not have a Lamar Jackson at the helm? And what are Ben Johnson and the Bears going to do against a Derrick Henry? The Baltimore Ravens have not played great football at this point, but we're going to see some things when the Bears show up there.
So the Bears should have drafted a defensive back. They probably should have drafted another defensive lineman. They decided to go like tight end, wide receiver to lead off the draft. But now that they are emerging, they are serious contenders to make a big splash during the trade deadline. Also, Ryan Poles is kind of like a guy that's teetering on being on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. So they'll be an interesting team to watch as we kind of go through the trade deadline.
And another team that you might want to consider or might keep an eye on are the Jets. And that tie between a Ben Johnson and an Aaron Glenn. And, Aaron Glenn has not had success thus far and might be looking to build towards the future. Is he going to look to clean some house and get rid of some of those assets, or get rid of some of those players in order to build assets?
Are they going to give him time?
I agree. I don't think Aaron Glenn is necessarily on the hot seat as of yet, but his roster might be.
The NFL is just it's such a short-term game. And Aaron Glenn is a good human. He's as Brian would say, he's a good leader of men. But he walked into just a terrible roster. Like if Aaron Rodgers was your GM the year before, where he elected himself, starting quarterback and brought all his old friends back in, and then they got rid of him, and then they said, okay, Justin Fields, we're going to give you Aaron Rodgers cast-offs and a also depleted roster with a defensive-minded coach, and he's been okay on the turnover side until lately. And that's your quarterback, where he's coming off a coaching for the Lions, where the Lions could be a ball control offense and then set the defense up for success, which he wants to do.
Sure. And you can see some parallels to what Dan Campbell did and what he walked into with the Detroit Lions and what Aaron Glenn has walked into with the New York Jets. Right. And so, what did Dan Campbell do? Go 0-10 to start his career with the Lions, and Aaron Glenn is, in a similar spot. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a lot of bye week discussion. I'm actually kind of excited to just talk next week, where we're coming off of watching the entire other NFL. We're seeing who's healthy. We're seeing what trades went down. I think next week's pod is going to be one of the more fun pods.
Let's go.
So anything else you want to throw out in this one?
Hey, other than, make sure you're continuing to like, subscribe, add TikTok to your watch list. Instagram is on there as well. If you want to, interact with us on YouTube or Twitter or BlueSky, all the social medias are available for you. Help us get on the algorithm.
We need your help. We're going to be working hard for you. All you got to do is click two buttons. That's not hard work. And tell us how fly we're looking here. This is, hey, we're all swagged out, looking good for you. So thanks for passing time with us. Stay gritty. Go Lions.
Let's go.